Hey there, fearless gamers. How's it going? This is Stark Lord again. Today, we're actually going to try to respond to a couple of messages we've gotten about the Tau. And what we're going to do is talk about Tau naming. Now, Tau naming is a little complicated. Going to do my best to explain what I can about it. There's certain limitations, obviously, since it's a fake language. But let's start at the beginning. And the best thing to use for getting set up with learning anything about the Tau is the codex. Any of the codexes will do for them. The most recent one, it's like 3rd edition, has a lot of information. The first and the earlier edition of it is supposed to have a lot more information. I don't have a copy of it, so I don't know. But start. If you have this copy, it's on page 21, Tau language. Very helpful. Remember with your Tau, things you gotta think about. It's a lot of you gotta really think about what your whole army is when you think about naming a single Tau, because Tau are a group society, in a sense. I mean, they're a caste society. You have to think about, if you're naming a fire caste guy, you're naming not just him, you have to name his whole unit, in a sense. I don't mean you have to name, like, that's John, that's Joe, that's Bob, and that's Mary. I mean, like, you have to know where they're from, you have to know what they are. You have to know, obviously you know the first and most important thing about them. You know their caste. So if you're building, a fire caste group, obviously they're all fire caste, so it's Shas. Easy, S-H-A-S. Next thing is rank. Rank is also easy if you're making names for guys in your army, because it's already on the unit entry. After that, you have your sept, which is where I'm getting back to naming based off the group. Your sept, a little bit of play in this. It can be either the sept they're born at, the sept they technically, or the, not the sept they live in, the sept they were born at, or like a family name, like if they're from a certain line of people. They had mentioned that, but we don't know much about how the Tau home life is. Excuse me. So it's a little complicated. So at that point, there's plenty of septs mentioned in here. There's Tau, Taun, Viorla, so on and so forth. Check them out, make up your own name, which we'll get to in a second with that. For this, the Tau in our BFG campaign, you know they're all from the Doran Poor Sept. We named that. That took a while to figure out the name of, because you had to figure out what you wanted the sept to represent, and then find words to represent it. And then the last part is the name of the person you're naming. If you're naming a person, obviously. Tau names are kind of in that scheme of when the personal name is based off of actions they've done. Like, they're kind of like classic, like titles for certain cultures, or like the Native American cultures. There's always there's Chief Sitting Bull, and he's named for a specific reason. Tau are named in a similar manner, except it's on actions they have done. Like the example obviously given in here, the easy one, is Commander Farsight. He seemed to know things before they would happen, like he was a great strategist, which is why he was named that. And you get that name over time, and you accrue many names over time, so if you really want to get crazy, you can give your Tau commanders a really long name, and then a shortened version of it, and that's cool. And that works. Now, that's the naming order. For ships, we'll get into that since we also talk BFG is a little different, but the same. For ships, you're also adding the class name, the name of the class of ship in there somewhere. And, for ships, it's sept, class of ship, and then the name of the first commander, and then the current commander. And if they're the same person, then it's just the one time. Which is why all my Tau ships have weird names, and that's the shortened version. All of them, like the main ship I have in there, the Illinois, was, the Orseldieth, Doran Poor, Illinois, because I was just like, it's the first captain, let's make it easy. But you can make it longer and say, like, there's a guy before him, like, whatever, Kais, because Kais is a common name. Kais means skillful in Tau. Lots of people have a name. It's like John. It's like, you're skillful, that will be your name. So there you go. So it could be, Orseldieth, I just forgot the sept name. Doran Poor, Kais, Illinois, and that'd be like, that's kind of ridiculously long, right? But that's Tau names here. They're very long. They shorten them often and commonly. Plenty of people have nicknames. So that's how that basically works. Again, now we're going to talk about how you find these words, because that was the main question someone asked us. They said, how do you translate into Tau? Well, I have a cheat. It's called the internet. I'm going to grab it from off screen. The biggest thing that helps with it is actually there is a wonderful database on Advanced Tau Tacticia. If you have not been there, check it out if you're a Tau fan. It's one of the best places to go for Tau information, at least on basic tactics and strategy, as well as for modeling, painting, and all that. There's a lot of great, fantastic modelers on there. If you're really into Tau, it's the place to go. Just realize you can't see my hand motions, so like staring at a blank screen. Anyways, so go on to Advanced Tau Tacticia, ATT, it's advancedtautacticia.com. Check out their forums. Don't post right away. Read all their rules. They're serious grammar sticklers. Sorry. And head over to their library. And in the library you'll find the Writer's Resource, the Tau Dictionary and Translations, which in there is the main thing that I use. A lot of the sites now aren't up anymore. When I used to come here, a lot more of these sites were on there, and you can't see. But the main one I use is the Definitive Tau Xenolexicon. Tough word. You click that, search through it, find words you like, and play around with. There's a lot in there, and they're all pulled mostly from other words mentioned in the novels, the codices, the rule books, anywhere the GW has officially said a Tau word. They've used those to break down and figure out Tau meanings and words. And you can use that to help you out a lot. Like, for example, when I named Aloyanoi, I knew what I wanted to name him, and I found the words for that. I wanted to name him, if you didn't know, it meant Cold Moon, which goes back to me liking the name of a certain character in a certain Japanese novel known as I Am a Cat. Find a translation, read it sometime. Okay, it's not really a novel, it's a collection of short serials, whatever. No literary talk right here, right now. But so I was like, okay, let me find the words for Cold Moon, because it sounds cool. So it's like, okay, cold, found it, means Alo, L-A-O-H. Let me find Moon, Yanoi. Okay, you shove the two together, that's your name. And there's a bunch of words on here. They're very useful. And just page through it. I usually use the search function, like throw in words until I found one I like. And then I've used this a little bit more complicatedly, like for the name of our other major Tau commander in our campaigns. Excuse me a second. Been a long day. Tea good. I can't even say the name of the character I invented. Lunun Young. That was a little bit more complicated to come up with, because I was like, we really want something that says Hunter. After we, had him, his first major mission, he chased down an Imperial thing, which I think is somewhere on Matt the Vet's other channel, the old campaign we ran with those ships. And so I found, Kayun means, patient hunter or whatever, so like, okay, the last part probably means hunter, I'll take that and put it with something else that sounds cooler. So Lunun Young means steadfast hunter, loosely. I'm sure you could play around with it more. The important thing with naming Tau is, if you can't find a translation for the words, then just go with, like, saying the English or whatever language you speak translation is of it. I mean, a lot of people call Commander Farsight, that's fine. Instead of Oshova. A lot of people call Shadow Sun instead of Oshasera, because there's way too many S's for people with lisps like me. But really just think about what you want to do with it. For the couple people that emailed us or messaged us with getting specific names, if you notice, when you look at that, the names you're looking for are a little bit more brutal sounding. Like one of them specifically was Ravage. And Tau really don't name people mean things, so unfortunately, like, naming a Tau commander that would be very rare, unless they were like an evil version of Farsight, like they left and became a violent, crazy guy, which is cool. I recommend it, but it's hard to find words like that in a lot of the common fluff nowadays, because it's just not words that they've really shown them using very often. Sorry for drinking tea on the channel, I've been talking all day. The next thing to talk about is translating back. So, first off, you're not going to be able to translate half the words back, because a lot of times when GW or Forge World makes up a word, they just make it up, so forget it. There's no reason to try to translate it. If you do, you're lucky. Hopefully they give you the translation, and then you can use that to build other words out of. But the lettering, usually they're consistent, but don't trust them. Again, the best source for the letters is in the Tau Codex. hooray. There's A through X in here. There's no Y and Z, apparently. Even though they use Y constantly in here, there's no actual Y letter represented in the alphabet they give you. But they usually are consistent. It translates back, hopefully, into either the English word or into the Tao word that you have to translate into English. So just take your time with this. Again, you look up Tao language, you will find, again, on Advanced Tao Tactician, I know there's a completed font for them for this. Don't ever try to translate letters off of models, because even the GW ones, most of the stuff on there is just lines to look pretty. It's not real words or characters from their language. That's pretty much it with that. If you want to look for cool things, just put in Tao language, and one of the first images on Google will show up as this cool pattern thing someone set up. I think that's also somewhere hidden on Advanced Tao Tacticia, but I don't remember where it is. It might be on Bolter and Chainsword instead also. Whatever, someone came up with a nice, really good look numbering system for them, if you want to use that, instead of just line, thick line, because it looks better. Another word on Tao, some people get wrong a lot, and that is the whole base 8 thing. Tao have a base 8 system because they only have 4 fingers. Okay, that's a lie. Well, they do only have 4 fingers, and much like us, we have 10 fingers, we have base 10, random thing. That's just, you know, guessing why that happened. We're you know, Westerners, we did 10, other civilizations did different bases. I think the Mayans did base 8, whatever. Tau do base 8 also, and when you do a base in a system, it's not, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then whatever. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then your 8th spot basically is 10. So, it really drives me crazy when I read the Forge World stuff and they say the XV9, I'm like, they don't have a 9. And I would say XV8, I'm like, they don't have an 8. It should be like XV10 technically, but we could say that the 8 is like a placeholder symbol for their version of 10. Look into base mathematics. It's annoying and fun if you like numbers. I don't. That's quick on that. I'm sorry I couldn't really answer the one guy that asked us the big question recently, because again, the words he's looking for just aren't, or she, sorry. The words he or she, probably a he, they're a wargamer. I'm going to generalize. Sorry if I insulted anyone. But the words they were looking for just don't exist in the lexicon we have right now. Hopefully someone will come up with it. Since they're not there, make up something that sounds cool to you, or try and find words that fit together best to make it for you. The best I found... Well, I'll send him a PM with the best I found for him, but again, he can find it himself on... Or he or she can find it for themselves on Advanced Tao Tacticia. Sorry I couldn't help more, but that's a basic crash course in how to name your Tao. The hardest part then is finding words you like to make the names of your Tao. If you look at my BFG fleet and the naming on them, you'll see a lot of use of certain phrases like Anuk, which means wing, Kais means skilled, so they're fun, like skillful wing, then like a Kais, Anuk, or no Kais, whatever. Stuff like that. You pick a couple words you like, name a couple of dudes. Again, naming them in English is fine, like my Tau commander for our 40k, or our Legacy of War 40k edition is, you know, Commander Stillwind. I translated the name once, and it looked stupid in Tau, so I said forget it, I'm just going to call him Commander Stillwind. It's easier. If you know where Stillwind comes from, points for you. It's from a different game. Anyways, please send us your questions. We'd love to attempt to answer them. I'm sorry I couldn't answer this better for you guys out there, especially that one guy. I'm really sorry. That's the best I can do, is give you the road that I use, and hopefully you can come up with something better. And until next time, fearless gamers.